to Finfine News Network, FNN News, and I am your host, Sibel. In news on the OLA troops operating in the Hidhabu Abote district reported killing over 103 soldiers and injuring 117 of the Prosperity Party forces. Meanwhile, the OLA stationed in the Abuna Gindabarat area of northwest Shawa also reportedly killed an unidentified high-ranking Prosperity Party military commander. Meanwhile, Prosperity Party troops reportedly used drones to attack a school called Abdi Boru, located in the Dara district in the Meda local administration in the town of Cheka. No casualties were reported after that attack. However, another recent drone attack in Meta killed more than 20 civilians. The OLF has also recently put out a press release addressing reports of a recent uptick of drone bombings and military airstrikes by government forces that have targeted residential Oromo areas and killed multiple civilians. We'll put that up on the screen now. According to that press release from the OLF, in the Karayu area in East Showa, in Hararge, in the Mieso and Machara area, and also in Gindibarat highlands and lowlands, as well as in Salali, Mita, Walkishe, and Kiramu areas. These have all been recently targeted. And according to the press release, this marks a change from past bombings that largely affected areas in Wolo and Western Wallaga. And the press release also calls on the international community to exert pressure on Abiy Ahmed and the Prosperity Party to stop the bombings of these highly populated Oromo towns. And it says here, this is a direct quote, "Once again, we would like to reiterate that the Ethiopians' multi-layered political and human rights demands can only be resolved through truly stopping the war and all-inclusive political discussions and settlements, but surely not through drones and airstrikes." In other news on Oromia, a new report out from the Oromia Broadcasting Network found that mass displacements from multiple kebeles in the Guto-Giza Woreda that FNN previously reported on resulted from clashes between the OLA, the Benishangul Gumuz People's Liberation Movement, and Amhara militias. One Oromo resident told OBN that back in November, when these conflicts first started that resulted in these mass displacements, the OLA had attacked both the BPLM and these groups of armed Amhara militias, and in turn, the latter two groups, the BPLM and these Amhara groups, took revenge on Oromo civilians by looting and destroying property in the area. And in this report, the zone's administrator, Alemayehu Tesfaye, estimated that around 128,200 people have been displaced as a result of this violence. So we will share now a clip from that OBN report.
Obbo Caalaa Fayyee jedhamu jiraata aanaa diggaa ganda biqiltuu guddinaa jedhamutti jiraachaa turanis har'a garuu finxaalayyaa Amaaraa humnoonni badii beeniin waliin qindaa'uun mandaraa keenya barbadeessuu isaaniitiin miidhaamaaf saaxilamneerra jechuun ni dubbatu.
Kun argitu isinuu kana barbadeessite mana keenya nu ariite horiin keenya inni kaan qalattee nyaatte isa kaan immoo kun babbaddee achi jirti harka keenya gullaa kun akkattumoo faakanaan mana keenya keessaa hiryaanee bakkee jirraam.
Walloo fi Gumuuz walmaqatee mana kanatti dakaa'u jalqaban. Ilmoo qabu ilmoo dhiisee akka jirutti hoon asiin karaa arjoo facee horiin keenya bittinnaa'ee hammammaatti horii kuma tokko kan ga'u haalaan galin. Kabakka seenan hin beekin.
Erga abaa shaneen dhufanii karatti baanii Gumuuziin butanii wallooni butanii aarii isaan irraan kan ka'e iddoo isaanitti buusan dhabdee hawaasa keenya itti buute jechuudha. Manneen hin hafne horiis ni fudhatanii beenye loozii fi ruuzii hagagottonni manatti tuulan ni gubate jechuudha.
Maanan qabu tokkoon qabbariin isin babbaddi waan tokkoon baafan ammucaakoo kankoo.
So again, that is a recent report out from the Oromia Broadcasting Network in which several civilians of the Guto Gida Wareda were interviewed about a wave of mass displacements that took place after conflicts broke out in the area and forced civilians, Oromo civilians, to flee their homes. Moving on to news on international relations, U.S. Special Envoy to the Horn of Africa, Jeffrey Feltman, is set to travel to Ethiopia and begin peace talks with government officials this Thursday, January 6th, according to the U.S. State Department. And this move comes after the U.S. made the decision to cut Ethiopia, in addition to two other countries, out of the African Growth and Opportunity Act, the AGOA, which is a duty-free trade program or agreement. And those two other countries that were also cut out along with Ethiopia are Mali and Guinea. And according to a statement put out by the U.S. Trade Representative's Office back in November, the move was an attempt to discourage continued human rights abuses perpetrated by the Ethiopian government. So Biden had first threatened to make this move to remove the three countries back in November, and he finally followed through on this New Year's Day, January 1st. So here's a quote from this statement from the U.S. Trade Representative. Our administration is deeply concerned by the unconstitutional change in governments in both Guinea and Mali, and by the gross violations of internationally recognized human rights being perpetrated by the government of Ethiopia and other parties amid the widening conflict in northern Ethiopia. So going forward, we will have to see what the conclusion of those talks that will be going on this week as Jeffrey Feltman travels to Ethiopia might be. And in a new interview with the Washington Post, a former minister of Ethiopia, Filsan Abdi, revealed that she was actually told to alter reports on mass rape and recruitment of child soldiers in the Tigray region to portray that only the TPLF was responsible for those crimes. So she details in this interview how Prime Minister Abiy had assigned her to create a task force to investigate this wave of rape and child military recruitment around Mekelle, the capital of Tigray, as well as other regions of that area. However, after she finished her report, the government actually refused to release it, and Filsan later resigned around 9 months later in September, even after Prime Minister Abiy had asked her to postpone her resignation because he thought that the war would soon be at an end. So here's a quote that she told the reporter from that interview. We brought back the most painful stories and every side was implicated. But when I wanted to release our findings, I was told that I was crossing a line. You can't do that, is what an official very high up in Abiy's office called and told me. And I said, you asked me to find the truth, not to do a propaganda operation. I am not trying to bring down the government. There is a huge rape crisis, for God's sake. Child soldiers are being recruited by both sides. I have the evidence on my desk in front of me. So again, that's taken from an interview that Filsan Abdi, former minister of Ethiopia, who earlier resigned in September, discussing about how she was asked to essentially falsify and then later not release reports that she helped to conduct on the recruitment of child soldiers in the northern Tigray region, as well as a wave of mass rapes. So that is all for today. We will continue to update our audience on what continues to happen in those upcoming talks between Jeffrey Feltman and Ethiopian officials, as well as continuing developments around the OLA's progress and news on Oromia. Again, thanks for watching FNN News, Finfine News Network, and I am your host, Sibel.